Hello everyone. I hope that you are all doing okay and everything's good your side. I know the energy around us at the moment, some of you may not be feeling this, but I'm almost guarantee the majority of you are feeling that there's a lot of intense energy, argumentative kind of energy, really emotional. Okay, it feels like the whole world has PMS. So if you're noticing that, please know that you are not alone. This is going on for a lot of people. It's this energy that we're in with the eclipse energy, the new moon we've just had. We've got Mercury going into retrograde. There's a lot of planetary things going on that can affect it, and also certain people are more affected than others, which can also have a knock-on effect and ultimately permeate into other people's lives. All right, so we have to be very mindful of that and very aware of it and try and kind of take it in our stride. So, because we're talking all about predominantly just energy at the moment, and that is what we're feeling around us, but we're not exactly sure what we're feeling, I've decided to use the Earth Magic Oracle cards because these really just talk about very basic and fundamental energies. And I like to use them because they talk about fire and earth and all of these very raw kind of energies. So, I'm going to be asking for some advice in terms of what can we expect for the week ahead, and what is the best action for us to take, these kinds of things. What do we need to know? Because it's very progressive energy. That's something that you must understand. It's just like when I do an energy session for somebody and we're trying to get rid of some kind of obstacle or blockage in their lives. It's very important for us to know that when they're feeling, like I said, they've got PMS, they want to cry, they want to fight, they're not feeling well, their whole body's not feeling well, they might have depleted energy, all of these things are going on. And we're thinking, gee whiz, this is just like the worst thing ever. Like, a lot of people have got colds and are feeling fluey and their body's a bit achy and stuff, and they're just not feeling right, or they've got a serious post-nasal drip and a runny nose. Those are things that are needing to be cleared out of your body, and it might even be an emotional or psychological thing that is having a physical manifestation so that it can move out. I'm not saying that's the case in every case, please don't get me wrong, but it's very likely that that's happening on a large scale because I've spoken to people all over the world and they're kind of having the same thing going on, which is very interesting, especially body aches and these kinds of things. And it's not corona. Sometimes it's not even the flu. It's like, feels like a bit of a cold, but with aches in the joints and muscles and stuff. So yes, I think that on a large scale we're having a lot of shifts going on. I think that they're going to be positive. They are progressive. As much as it feels terrible right now, it's cleaning things out. Okay, it's making space for other things. It's energy that's progressive, that's shifting and changing around us, and it's very necessary. All right, so take it in your stride. Try to have patience. Try to keep mental and emotional balance and not want to do harm to everyone around you. It's sometimes not easy. We really just need to try and be in a good space, listen to music that we love or something to that effect, and let it just try and keep us on an even keel. All right, so I'm going to be asking, can we have a description maybe of the kind of energy that we're dealing with at the moment, so that we can have maybe a better explanation and maybe even a visual representation of it with the cards. So let's see what we get. Okay, can we get some cards to represent the energy around us at the moment, please? Okay, dawn, new beginnings. That's the first one that pops up. Let me just center it a bit so we don't have a big glare there. This is what I was saying. Okay, we're at the dawning of something here. So it's like energy clearing out so that there can be this new sun rising. All right, every day we have the sun going down. It's like a little mini eclipse every day where everything shuts down, everything goes to sleep, and the sun rises again to begin a new day. And then the birds start chirping and some of the flowers open up and things just come alive again. And this is what we are experiencing now. Okay, we're going to be moving into the new beginning, that energy. But we're just coming out of the old stuff, and that can be very heavy, especially when we're working with this earth energy. And yes, some of the stuff might have been psychological and emotional or whatever the case is, but we still, especially if we've carried it for a very long time, we have physical manifestations of things. And it could be that you have aches and pains, or with some people, if they haven't expressed things for a long time, they get their throat area blocked and they'll get a sore throat or whatever the case is, because that blockage needs to clear. All right, so you might be experiencing things like that as well. And here we have new beginnings. Let's see what else it says about it. Okay, what other kind of energies are we... Oh, wrong way around. What other kind of energies are around us at the moment, please, or we should be aware of? Completion. Okay, full moon. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I even said, I think, something to the effect of the sun goes down. It's just like a phase, like a mini eclipse. The same thing with the moon. The moon, we've just had new moon, which means that everything goes completely dark. Everything has to go to sleep, and then it starts waking up. And now I have the full moon coming up here, which is completion. And this is completion of certain things. Maybe there was stuff that you... Sorry, I just want to get the glare off. Stuff that needed to be sorted out, that's from the past. Maybe there's something that you've been neglecting for a long time that you need to get done. And a lot of the time that will be the kind of energy that comes up, like stuff that you've needed to do for ages, that you've neglected, that needs to be sorted out. It's things that need to be, like loose ends that are tied up, or things that need to be completed that you've just left hanging. A lot of the time that will be required, and that you completing that action obviously will then be a catalyst for something else to occur, or for some kind of energy to shift. So this completion is very important, and we are now in the waxing moon stage, which means that the moon is now growing fuller. All right, we've finished new moon, which would be black, and then now the moon starts to grow fuller and fuller and fuller until it will reach that full moon. And I feel like for a lot of people, this is going to be possibly a painful process while it's in process, but it is going to give an enormous sense of relief. And remember that healing can be as painful as the wound that was inflicted. Okay, sometimes we've carried something with us for so long that once it's released, that can be painful, and we can be very emotional, and we can have to feel all of that again because we're reminded of it, but we feel it one more time, and we need to acknowledge that so that it can move out and we can move on. Okay, so know that it's, if you're feeling pain after you've had like some kind of revelation or a resolution of something, know that that's all that stuff you've been holding in, or that's been hanging in the air for such a long time, that now just needs to be released, and honor that and allow it to happen. Okay. All right. We've looked at those, so I hope you don't mind if there is a bit of a glare there. Maybe if I move it up a bit. There we go. That's a bit better. All right. So is there anything else we need to know about the energy around us? I just want to see if there's another one. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Okay, no. Is there any advice that you can give us, please, for how we handle this energy, or what else do we need to do? Any action cards? Communion. Okay, that kind of popped, just flipped over. This is about communion with yourself, with spirit, with the earth around us. This is about this guy talking to this eagle, okay? Or having communion with this eagle, which is the same as him having communion with God or the spirit. And the Great Spirit, as the Native American people call it. And this is about being still and looking at that plant or that river or that bird, and really feeling them and immersing yourself in that, and not caring about the world around you just for a little bit, and how that can really remind you of how connected you actually are, and how you are part of the whole. Even if we feel alone sometimes, especially when we're going through something really emotional or transitional like this, it's very easy to feel very alone, because we will have emotions coming up like, inadequacy, fear, all of these things that we feel again that might have been things that we felt in the beginning of the situation we're dealing with, or whatever it is. And we feel it again, and it can be very isolating. And also we have this isolated kind of energy where It is about introspection. It is about reviewing things. It is about replaying them in our minds. But remember to replay that, just like an old film reel. Let it run, but just let it run. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to live it again. You've been there, done that. All right. So just let it pass, because that's how we process. And I think that it's very important for you to do meditation or just quiet contemplation. Sit at your table in the garden, look at the birds, but just let your mind go and let it go to things other than just all the chores that you have for that day or things that you need to worry about. Just immerse yourself in nature or whatever it is that gives you pleasure. Maybe it is some music. Put in headphones and sit in the garden, you know, whatever it is. But get yourself into that space and do yourself that favor, because you can't just live all the time without sitting and processing. It's very important to do that. Okay, it's like reconciling your sales for the day. If you had a store and you swipe all the time through the card machine, and at the end of the day you have to press that button that spits everything out and reconciles and gives you that long list of everything that's happened for the day. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, you need to do that. And you need to spit out that long list of everything that's done, tear it off, and file it away. All right, that's the best metaphor or analogy I can think of right now, but that's what you need to do. And that is what communion does. Okay, if you want to go to church and literally do communion, and that's what works for you, if church is your happy place, and that's where you find the stillness and where you have that time, then by all means, whatever it is, wherever it is that you feel that you can get that, please go and do it. This is when you need it now. Okay, let's have one last one. What other action can we take, please? Whoops, this is becoming a bit messy. Let's just tuck them all back, because that's way too many. Here it goes. Invocation. Okay, I was just going to say this is the same kind of thing. So if you are more kind of a spiritual practice person, and I think that people who are religious are also spiritual practice people, but if you do other kind of spiritual practice and you would rather go home, light a stick of incense and light a candle and do your meditation or whatever the case is, that is what you need to do here. All right, you see this woman, invocation, invoking the energy of completion, of new beginnings, whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that you're trying to attain, or whatever it is that you're trying to heal from. If you just feel you need healing because this is too much for you, sit and ask for that. Okay, or for instance, like we do the energy sessions, if you need me to do something for you, let's do that. If it needs to be released, if it needs to be a negativity purging, if you feel you need to work on your heart chakra because you've had a lot of heartache, or whatever it is, maybe you need physical healing because you can't handle the physical shifts that are happening and it's really painful. Whatever it is that you need to work on, this is talking about that. It's talking about if you use crystals, then use your crystals. If you use candles, then use your candles. If you like to do prayer, or you just like to burn some herbs, whatever it is, whatever gives you that quiet space where you really are on another level and you are content. I'm sure you've all done it, okay? Whether it is sitting alone in a church when it's really quiet and it's just you and God, or you sitting alone at home when you've lit a candle and you're thinking about someone who's passed and you're talking and offloading and telling them about your day. Whatever it is that puts you in that space is what you need to do. That's what keeps us sane, okay? And that's what helps us process, and that in itself is exceptionally cathartic and healing. So please do that. Make 10 minutes for yourself to actually facilitate this energy that's around right now. And instead of suffering and saying, oh my gosh, we're having such a rough time, try to ease it for yourself, or try to actually help it along so that it can be over sooner. Okay, embrace it, don't fight it. Say, I'm lighting a candle for me because I'm having a hard time. It's okay for me to do that, and I know that this is healing, and healing afterwards hurts just as much as when you have whatever it is removed. Okay, if we have surgery, we don't go and have something cut out or operated on and then we go home and we feel nothing. We need recovery afterwards. So honor that and give yourself that time. Give yourself that communion and whatever spiritual or religious practice it is that works for you. Okay, even if it's just sitting on the bus, zoning out with your headphones, whatever. Go and do it and give yourself that time when you don't have to do a chore or be obligated to somebody else or first do this and first do that. Stop and have that time. I wish you a beautiful week. I sincerely hope that the energy passes as easily as possible for you. We are going to go into Mercury retrograde now, so if there are problems with communication, telephones, computers, stuff like that, I would suggest you back up anything on your machine you don't want to lose, because it is literally a field of energy that's going to interfere with electronic equipment and interfere not only with our electronic communication, but also with our verbal communication. All right, so you might be misinterpreted when you send someone a message, and it could cause an argument, or the message doesn't go through. If you expect these kind of things to an extent, it can help the process. Okay, and you think, what on earth, so and so doesn't want to talk to me, they've been offline. All kinds of things happen when Mercury retrograde's going. If you're not surprised by it, then you'll handle it much better, just like the situation here. Okay, preempt it as best you can, and you'll see that you really do deal with it a lot better. Okay, have a great week.